So here we are, Crackdown 3. We're finally here. Five long years we've been waiting patiently. This really seems like you have beefed up the world a lot. There seems to, the first two Crackdowns were very much just focused on, going after those people like in like the sort of the syndicate or the crime tree or whatever. This time around, there's all sorts of like little objectives for you to do and side quests,
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we had one major goal when we made the Crackdown 3 campaign. Make a Crackdown game, right? Sounds simple, make a game that Crackdown fans are going to love. Actually turns out to be a little harder than you think. But the other goal that we had was, let's look at modern open world game design and make sure that we're making smart choices about bringing in new designs that make sense, but be really careful that we don't dilute the Crackdown formula and what made it special. So yes, we have added in some more side quests, optional objectives, but we didn't want to just overpopulate the map with an exhausting amount of things to do.
It also seems like this is sort of a redemption story for the agency, in some ways, in the first two games, you weren't really the greatest of people, so to speak.
Yeah, there was this interesting twist at the end of the first Crackdown game where all of a sudden, after thinking you were this super heroic good guy, you realized, oh no, I guess I'm a bad guy. Now, some people loved that twist. Some people thought it was terrible. The choice we made for Crackdown 3 was, let's make this a story that can stand alone so that people who've never played a Crackdown game can jump in right away and understand everything they need to know. A brand new story, brand new city, brand new cast of bad guys. But there is one character who's the same throughout all the Crackdown games, this voice of the agency, Director Charles Goodwin. And if you're a fan of the first Crackdown game and you listen carefully, Goodwin knows that some stuff went down in Pacific City and he doesn't feel very great about it, but he is a reformed, repentant voice of the agency. But there are those little Easter eggs, connective tissue between previous games, but it's a brand new city. You don't need to know anything about the story to jump in and have fun.
Let's actually speak about Goodwin really quick, because his voice is so iconic. Like, it's really tied to the series.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a Crackdown without McConaughey in there voicing the voice of the agency. Like, it just, as soon as you hear his voice, it's his voice and the sound of the green orbs, right? The agility orbs just pinging throughout the city. We wanted to make sure that we got those in and we got them right.
Now, let's talk about the orbs, because I feel like these orbs are so key to sort of what makes Crackdown unique in a lot of ways, like the first Crackdown, we were talking before the interview, I spent like countless hours just hunting orbs, like well after I should have put down the controller, like staying up late trying to like collect these things.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know if the story of how the orbs came to be in Crackdown 1. So it was a solution to a pretty tough design problem, which is Crackdown is, back in the day, it was like GTA, but with verticality, right? And we found that players, as they played Crackdown, they just stayed on the streets. We wanted them to jump up on the buildings and, become super heroic and leap over skyscrapers, but there was nothing telling them, hey, you should go up there. So these little green orbs just became these pulls or draws to get people off the street. But they took on this, iconic, franchise, key role in the franchise, but they still serve that same original purpose, which is incent players to get up off the ground, explore the city, see it from above. Because Crackdown is most fun when you're high up, vertical, super agile.
Yeah. The thing about that also, though, is like, I feel like people have never really been enticed to use the vehicles that much because of it. Like, so what have you guys done to sort of, spice up the vehicle aspects of Crackdown 3?
Yeah. So one thing that we do is you actually level up your vehicle, your driving skill, a little faster than the other skills. Because I think one of the challenges was people just didn't know what they got when they got that higher vehicle skill. In Crackdown 3, you unlock 2 additional forms of the agency vehicle. The spider form, which is the one that's able to latch onto the side of buildings and drive up them vertically, and then this super overpowered tank form of the vehicle. And we want players to get those as early as possible in the game, because really few things were as fun as driving along in the speeder form of the agency vehicle, transforming into the spider, latching onto a building, landing on the top of the building, turning into a tank, and then blowing up the overpowered, high-powered bad guys that are on top of that roof. So we hope that vehicles this time around will become part of that vertical gameplay and will just be another tool in your sandbox. We want to get them off. We want to get them off the street, even in vehicles.
So like one of the new aspects this time around is you have, multiple avatars that you can select, each with like different experience boosts and things like that. Where did the decision come to do that? Because before it's just kind of like you could pick like a body archetype, but it didn't really have too much effect on the game.
Yeah, I think that's a good example of. So to take a step back, in the game you can pick an agent when you start off. But if you want, you can change your agent at any time. You can go into what we call supply points, but they're basically save points in the game where you can change your weapon loadout. But you can also change who you are. And each agent has a slightly different set of skill leveling perks. One agent might level explosives and driving a little faster. Someone else might level agility and firearms a little bit faster. And the hope is that players can min-max if they want to their leveling. If they want to really push hard in strength because they love that experience of just punching people and picking up cars and sending them flying, well, you should pick the Terry Crews agent because he levels strength quicker than anybody else. But if you eventually want to become more agile, you might pick another agent to boost that skill too. So an example of us looking at more modern game design and just seeing what are small things we can do to really improve that core Crackdown experience.
Now you mentioned Terry Crews. How did he get involved? Like, what was the process of bringing him on? Did he approach you? Did you guys approach him?
Well, we approached him. Initially, we thought Terry would just be a great spokesperson for the game. He's funny and warm and larger than life, loves games. And as we began to work with him on some of the early promotional material that we did, we realized he's actually an agent. He's super strong, he's tall, he's just funny, and we originally had a plan for 20 playable agents in the game. Well, he's our 21st. So it just grew organically out of working with him over the years. We realized he'd just be a wonderful choice for people to play as in the game.
It's awesome. Now, making an open world game where people can kind of just run their way to the end if they really wanted to. Obviously, it would be really difficult for them to get there, but, how do you create a world where people can go anywhere but make sure that they kind of get to where they're going on the right path, so to speak?
Yeah. Well, it was really a cool experience for us when we played Breath of the Wild, the latest Zelda game. And that's just this master class in how to design a world to direct people toward where you want them to go. And in at least one way, Crackdown and Zelda work exactly the same. As soon as you exit the little opening area in both games, the view of the world that you see is, there's the tallest thing in the world, that's where the bad guy lives, I could go there right away if I want to, or I could just explore this world however I want. Both games, are non-linear. You're free to go wherever you want, poke the sandbox however you want, but we made sure to design the world just spatially very clearly so that with color and building height, you knew, okay, that's an important thing that belongs to that faction. I'll do that now or I'll do it later, but you should just be able to look at the world and see and put together a plan in your head about how you want to attack this otherwise, totally non-linear world.
You brought up Breath of the Wild, and you said that influenced your development. That came out 2 years ago, a year and a half. Yeah. So, did anything in your game design pivot after playing Breath of the Wild? Did you guys change anything up after that?
So it was less of a pivot and more a confirmation of some of the fundamental choices we made, like the structure of the world. Just a realization that, okay, good. If it's working for Breath of the Wild, then we're at least on the right track. There is no cooking in Crackdown, though. But man, would that be amazing if there were? No, I'm just kidding. Unfortunately, no, there's no cooking. But there wasn't anything that we said, we radically need to change this. It was more just a good reminder of what best-in-class world design looks like.
When players walk away from Crackdown 3, how do you want them to feel?
I want them to feel that it was a game that knew what they loved to do and rewarded them for doing what they love. If you want to drive, if you want to shoot, if you want to get strong and throw things, if you want to spend your time just attacking one enemy group in the game, Crackdown is there for you. It's going to watch and reward and push you and cheer for you when you succeed. It's a very free game with a huge sense of freedom. But it's also a game that doesn't take itself too seriously. If you just want to jump in on Game Pass and try it, it is a pulpy, over-the-top, colorful action game. And it's just filled with a lot of fun, and we hope people jump in and have a really good time.